This email marketing strategy is the simplest one I've used for my own e-commerce brand, but it's also the most effective. It's also by far the easiest to set up for the ROI that you're going to get. And the emails I'm going to show you have generated a 7% conversion rate in my own store. Today I'm going to give you every step I followed to set this up. My store went from 0 to 1.2 million in annual sales, and today I'll give you a framework that you can use it to implement in your own store. But before we get into the setup, let's talk about the problem first. Because if you don't see this clearly, you'll never understand why this strategy works so well. Here's the truth. 99% of e-commerce brands are leaking thousands in revenue every single month because they ignore the way customers actually behave. I'll give you an example. Imagine you land on a skincare store. You like what you see, maybe you even sign up for the discount code, you browse around for a few minutes, then you get distracted when you don't buy. What happens next? You'll get an email saying, here's your 10% discount, maybe another email a few days later, and that's it. No one follows up when you come back to the site 3 more times, clearly interested but not ready to pull the trigger. They think that the big email list means success, but it's not about the list size, it's about whether that list is actually converting. I've seen brands brag about 100,000 plus subscribers, but when you check the numbers, only a tiny fraction are actually buying. The reality is, big lists are worthless if you're not monetizing them properly. Here's some real data from my own store. When someone signs up, the likelihood of them buying drops off a cliff within just a few days. Day 1, it might be 10%, day 2, it's 6%, day 3, it's 3%, and after a week, it's almost 0. Why does that happen? Because customers are busy. They compare you against your competitors, they hesitate, they forget, and that initial spark of intent fades fast. So, unless you have a system to capture that intent at the exact right moment, you lose them forever. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Your highest intent customers, the ones who are on the edge of buying, are actually the ones that most brands completely ignore. Think about how people shop online. Almost nobody buys on the first visit. They discover you through an ad or referral, browse your site, leave, come back again later, maybe multiple times, then finally buy. Most brands have the basics in place, a welcome series, an abundant cart flow, maybe even a win-back campaign, but what's missing is a mechanism to catch those high-intent browsers who visit repeatedly without converting. These are the golden prospects. They've shown interest, they've taken action, and they're much warmer than any cold traffic, but because they haven't abandoned the cart and because they have already went through your welcome series, they just fall through the cracks. And you know the crazy thing, they're often the easiest ones to convert if you know how to reach them at the right time. The simplest way to reach these customers is to use the product viewed flow automation. You can also follow up with them as many times as you like. But this is where it gets interesting. There are 3 specific prerequisites you need before this strategy will work, and missing even one of them will kill your results. Step 1 is obvious. You need their email address first. Without an opt-in, you have no way of reaching them. But there's the mistake I see constantly. Brands settle for 2 to 3% conversion rates on pop-ups because that's the industry average. But that's a joke. My standard is way higher. You should be aiming for between 8 and 12% on desktop and between 15 and 20 on mobile. Anything less and you're just leaving money on the table. But how do you get there? Make the offer irresistible. Not just 10% off, but something like unlock VIP early access or get a free sample with your first order. Play with different formats, slide-ins, pop-ups, and full-screen overlays. And use timing rules. Don't show it instantly, trigger it on intent, either scroll depth, exit intent, or after 30 seconds. Your traffic to subscriber conversion is the foundation. Get this right and everything else will become easier. When someone gives you an email address, don't just dump them onto your newsletter list. They'll need to go through a carefully built welcome series that educates them on who you are and why you exist. This is your chance to answer what problems do you solve, why should they choose you over competitors, what makes your products unique. For example, in my supplement brand, our welcome series doesn't just shout buy now. It explains the science behind the ingredients, shows the before and after stories, and compares us against generic Amazon brands. By the time someone finishes the sequence, they not only know what we sell, they believe in it. And of course, you still need a solid abundant cart flow. This one is non-negotiable. People abandon carts for dozens of reasons: distractions, shipping costs, second thoughts. Your flow should bring a good chunk of them back. But here's the key: you need to make sure this flow doesn't overlap with the high-intent recovery flow we're about to build. Otherwise, customers get bombarded with multiple offers and the messaging gets really messy really quickly. By the way, if you want some help scaling your e-com brand to 7 figures, just like I did, you can apply for my exclusive coaching program using the link in the description below. Now, here's where most brands make their biggest mistake. They think they understand the customer's behavior, but there's one critical pattern that they're completely missing. Now let's go with the good stuff, the flow itself. The idea is simple. When someone shows repeated site activity, they keep coming back, browsing products, clearly interested but not yet buying. We hit them with a perfectly timed offer that tipped them over the edge. Here's how to set it up in Klaviyo. Create a profile filter for site activity, for example, visited site at least 3 times in 5 days. Add a filter for 0 overall orders, we only want people who haven't purchased yet, and exclude people already in your cart or checkout flows to prevent overlap. Limit entry to once per customer, otherwise people will game the system for discounts. This flow is laser targeted. You're not spamming your whole list, you're only reaching the people who are actively browsing but haven't yet pulled the trigger. Now this next part is absolutely crucial. The timing of this offer will make or break your entire strategy. Here's the scenario. Someone has visited your site 3 separate times, they're clearly interested, maybe they've clicked around your bestsellers, maybe they've spent 10 minutes reading your reviews, but they still haven't purchased. The moment they leave on that 3rd visit, that's when your email will hit their inbox. It lands at the exact point of maximum intent. They're literally just thinking about your brand, and now they can see an email offering them a reason to act now. But here's the key. It can't just be the same discount you gave them earlier. That didn't work, so you need to escalate. If your welcome offer was 10% off, this one should be 20% off, but only for the next 24 hours. The subject line should scream urgency. You left at the perfect time. Here's 20% off, but only for the 24 hours. This combination of timing plus urgency plus escalation is what makes this strategy so powerful. But there's one final element that separates the brands making thousands extra per month from those leaving money on the table. 1 email is good, but 2 is better. Here's how I run it. The first email goes out immediately after the 3rd site exit. If they don't convert, the second email lands 21 hours later with the subject line, final chance, 3 hours left to claim your 20%. But 21-hour delay is intentional. It means that the second email hits just before the 24-hour window closes, adding maximum urgency. And you know what's crazy? In my store, the second email often outperforms the first one. Customers see the first one and hesitate, but then the ticking clock finally pushes them over the edge. Between the 2 emails, I've seen conversion rates as high as 30 to 40%. Remember, these are the people who are already browsing your site heavily, so you're just nudging them at the perfect moment. And the beauty is, the whole flow is just 2 emails and 1 delay. That's it. No need for complex sequences or dozens of variations. If you want to get fancy, there are a few advanced tweaks you can add later on. Dynamic codes, instead of blasting the same static discount code, generate unique single-use codes for each subscriber. This will make them feel exclusive and prevents people from sharing it online. Conditional splits. Test different discount percentages, maybe 15 versus 20%, and see what yields the best return on investment. SMS integration. Add a text message alongside the emails for maximum reach. Sometimes that ping on someone's phone is what gets them to act. But honestly, you don't need any of these to see huge results. The basic 2-email flow is enough to add thousands in monthly revenue. So that's exactly how you can implement email marketing to scale your e-commerce brand to 7 figures, but there's something I didn't tell you at the start of the video. Everything I just told you is completely useless if you don't know how to run profitable ads to drive traffic to your store. Click on this video if you want to learn how to run profitable Google and Facebook ads for your e-commerce store in 2025. Also, if you're an e-commerce brand doing over 20k per month and you want to hit 7 figures like I did, you can apply for my exclusive coaching program using the link in the description below. I'll see you in the next one.